Not for Nothing, name of the podcast. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to the Not for Nothing podcast. I'm here with Shabazz Jackson, and we're going to talk about, I'm actually going to let Shabazz introduce himself, and he can tell us. So please, go ahead.
Well, let's see. I'm Shabazz Jackson. I'm 75 years old, and right now, I'm sitting in my office in Clintondale, New York, which is about 90 miles north of New York City. And I wanted to talk today, about a lot of different things, pertaining to diabetes. And it's something that runs in my family, but as a family, we never talked about it. So probably my great-grandfather died from it. My father, if he had lived long enough, probably would have died from it. My grandfather lived to be 86, and he spent, last 10 years of his life in a nursing home with both legs amputated and 3/4 of his fingers amputated, and he was blind. So, but he never talked about it. And, it was something that growing up, I knew about it, but I didn't know how to deal with it before it became a problem to me. So I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 50 years old. And, I didn't pay much attention. I was a pretty healthy guy and, worked hard. And, but when I turned 50, I got my first big physical, where the doctor at the time really was a very good doctor. He was a very good doctor, and he gave me a complete physical. And I was in such good condition that there's a test that they give you for diabetes when you get this physical, and they make you drink this really sweet cola. And then they test your blood sugar. So normally, if there's any kind of issue, they don't give you the cola, right? But from everything else, he gave me the cola. My blood sugar went to 500.
For some context, what's normal? Somebody without diabetes.
So my blood sugar right now is about 120. So it's blood sugar of 500 is everyone, like everyone in that office when they took the test, because you wait for an hour, right? And when they took that test, it was like everyone went crazy, because that's like coma territory. Okay. And maybe if I wasn't in such good condition, I would have gone into a coma. But I couldn't even feel it. I couldn't feel anything. And that is the real problem with diabetes. It is something that works on a cellular, molecular level. And over time, it does damage to your body in different ways. So it's different for each person. So right then I went on medication. And so now I'm 50 years old, and I start with a endocrinologist who was my diabetes doctor. And I was belonged to a gym. I was working out on a regular basis. I was still, running my business, which is, hard labor. And I kept the diabetes in control. So what happened is that doctor retired, and I was using very little medication. So when that doctor retired, I didn't replace him. And the years went by, the decades went by, and what I've learned in my studies is that diabetes is like hitting a moving target. So the monitoring of it is a really critical, because what you're doing today may not be enough tomorrow. And the damage that diabetes does starts to increase as your control over your numbers decreases. So the two things are working in opposite directions. And diabetes, when I think about my grandfather didn't have anything. Like, I never saw my grandfather take his blood sugar, and when he was in the nursing home, I visited him quite often, and I never saw them take his blood sugar when he was in the nursing home. So that was that's a primary monitoring tool that he never used, and they really controlled his diet, and he exercised as much as he could, being in a wheelchair, and but diabetes is one of those diseases that right now it's by the numbers. And it's your blood sugar is controlled by your pancreas. And my pancreas is not working as well as it should for me to function totally without medication. So the medication that I take, and there's basically three types of medications. There's insulin, which is your pancreas puts out insulin, and insulin controls your blood sugar levels. So you can take insulin. Usually it's taken in a shot. And many people, when they're first diagnosed, and here's where the numbers come in. If your blood sugar, at one point when I started now going back and taking care of it, I was almost 70 years old. And so for 20 years, or my doctor retired, say, after 5 years. So say for 15 years, I went without monitoring. So I didn't take my blood sugar. I didn't take any medication. And I went along, well, not knowing that this was a moving target. I went along with the idea that my diet and exercise was going to be enough, like it had been in the past. So what happened when I was 69 years old, I went blind. And it was a shock. It was all of a sudden, and I was working, and what triggered it was the cumulative effect of uncontrolled diabetes plus the lifestyle I was living at the time, where I had this machine, and it was a big track excavator, and it needed a new bottom, and the tracks came off. So I spent a lot of time putting these tracks back on, and that required all my strength. And what happened was the way diabetes affects people is different in every person, but the way it affects me is it causes inflammation. And it does that in most people too, right? But it causes inflammation in my retinas in particular, right? And then when your retinas swell up and then they bleed, and when they bleed, your vision gets a little fuzzy, right? But then when that blood clots, you go blind. And it just happens that they are able to fix that now. You know, and it's
How?
probably I'll tell you. I'll tell you how they fix it. This is a story in itself, all right? So what they do is they take a laser and they chop up the clotted blood, and they suck it out. They suck it off your retinas, out through your eyeball. So
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Yeah.
it's a so the guy I had this anesthesiologist, right? So we go in, it's like I can't see it now, right? I'm blind. So this is on my right eye. And so they lead me in, Josephine leads me in. I get there, get the clothes off, get laid out. The anesthesiologist is talking to me. Oh, we're going to take care of you, Mr. Jackson. So he puts me under. I go, they work on me, and I wake up before he's finished. And I wake up when they're vacuuming this clotted blood out of my eyeball. So the doctor, this is Dr. Green, right? So the doctor says, don't move. And he just keeps working. And I can feel it, and I can hear it. And there's now I'm getting light back to my brain, and I can sort of see. And he finishes up. They wheel me away, and they put a patch over it. I get home. I take the patch off. I can see. I can see
No.
out of my right eye.
Wow.
It was like a miracle. It was like a
I
miracle.
I bet it felt like that, like to go from, not being able to see to being able to, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was. My peripheral vision, though, I didn't have that. And that's why my truck is all dented up. But
I figured that's because you let my mom drive, but hey,
no, no,
yeah.
she's a much better driver than I am.
Ooh, you're that bad, huh? You can
Yeah,
tell her I
yeah,
said that too.
yeah, yeah. It's a but so now, starting from then, I made it my uh purpose in life to deal with this disease, and the rest of my body is really in good condition. So now when you get to this point where I was blind, right? Then uh, then in order to move forward, I got a whole set of new doctors. And so that when you're a diabetic, it's by the numbers, and it's that legal team that makes it so you can manage the disease. And so that for my legal team, I have a foot doctor. And and in hindsight, right, my foot doctor should have uh, had me with a vascular doctor, but I got a lot of injuries that the foot doctor took care of, right? So I stepping on nails, uh, burns. I almost burned the end of my toe off. Uh, but what happens is, along with my retinas, I have neuropathy, right? So neuropathy is caused by inflammation, and as a diabetic, your body puts out uh, a chemical, and this is the way my eye doctor explained it, right? So right now, for my eyes and to maintain my vision to what it is, I get treatments, and I'm getting one tomorrow. So I spent part of today just getting my mind right for this treatment, because it's a shot of this medication that he squirts onto my retinas, right? So I get a needle in the eye that squirts this medication onto my retinas. They numb it up, and it's something that I have to get my mind right for it, because you can't move, right? So you see the hand coming, and but the guy's pretty quick, so and it's a routine that he goes through. And so they numb your eye, and they know how to do it because they do it now it's up to 3 months. Every 3 months I get it. My goal is to go to twice a year, and then to go to once a year, so that every 3 months I would just take the exam. I would just get the exam, but I wouldn't get the shot.
Right.
Right. So that is one of my motivators for keeping control. Because he said basically there's two things that you can do. One is keep your blood sugar low, and the other one is keep your blood pressure low. Right. So we have a blood pressure cuff, and we have the sensors, and I want to really spend uh, most of my time just giving some background, but spend most of the time talking about the technology that's available. And it's really made achieving your goals much more possible than it was before. So anyway, I get this shot, and the newest medication blocks the chemical that causes the swelling of the retina. So the medications before reduced the swelling of the retina.
So this catches it before it
Yeah,
swells.
this makes a barrier, right? And so I went from every 2 months to now every 3 months. And this is my second. So the last medication. So what happened was, when you read about the medication for a person that is just starting with it, was in the position I was in after my retinopathy, they give you 4 shots 1 week apart, right? And then, they evaluate, and then they start reducing the amount of these shots that you get. So for about, I got them every 2 months. So say for 8 months, I continued with this new medication. And then 6 months ago, they went to 3 months. So
Okay.
this is my second 3-month interval. And, just from the kind of the state of my vision right now, which is really sharp, is really good. I might be able to convince them to go to 6 months. Maybe I'll have to take a 4-month step.
Right.
I might, but his fear is that I'll lose what I have, and then I'll have to work to get it back. So he doesn't want to mess around. If it's working, like, don't fix it, right? That's his attitude. And, I know these shots are really expensive. They're $5,000 a piece.
How much
$5,000.
for one?
Yeah, one eye. Yeah. So each, they're really expensive. And, diabetes is diabetes care. If you like, I feel like I have the best care you could have. And I don't know anyone, and a lot of my friends have diabetes, my old growing up friends that I've known, 50, 60 years. And, because I talk about it, they talk about it. And they are, Don and my cousin Bert, and a few, my ex Lois, all have diabetes. And we all talk about it. And it makes, so I compare my care to theirs, and I have much better care than anyone that I know. My friend Sharp, and sometimes I have to give Sharp, because I don't use all my medication, and we use the same medication. So sometimes he runs out and I can give him some of mine, but I never run out. That's the thing. I never run out of anything. That's number one. And then I have a foot doctor. I have a vascular doctor. I have an endocrinologist. I have a heart guy. And then I have my eyes.
Damn.
And then I have my GP. So I have these 6 doctors that are looking out for all of the different aspects of where the diabetes does damage. And what that does is it enables my GP to have a complete understanding. So I see her 3 to 4 times a year.
That's it, huh?
Yeah. So between all of that, what they say is that I have 20 good years left. That's what they tell me. And I believe them. And when you look at statistically, the lifespan of an African American man is 69 years old. And
you already got that beat. I mean, yeah.
So if I can go, like my uncle was 100 when he died.
Damn.
But if I want to beat him. I want to beat him. And I believe that I could do it. But I don't want to be like him when he turned 100, because he was in a wheelchair. He had diabetes, and he had AIDS, and he was wearing diapers, and when he went, he was ready to go. So let me switch up and talk about the base, which is the numbers, right? And for people who most people know someone with diabetes, or they have it themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And first, it's preventable. So when there's a stage that's called pre-diabetic, when your blood sugar starts to go up. So when you get your yearly physical, included in that should be the A1C. And the A1C is a blood test that indicates your average blood sugar over 90 days. Right. So if you don't take your blood sugar during the day or at all, right, the A1C is going to give you a number, and it's a number from 1 to 14. And the results is going to tell you how well your pancreas is working. That's basically what it's going to tell you. And if that number is above 5.7, you are considered in the pre-diabetic realm at 5.7. The number should be around 5.3 to 5.5. It's a very sophisticated test, right? So those, 1 point is meaningful in this. So once you get to 5.7, you're pre-diabetic. At that point, if you do the right thing, you could prevent yourself from getting diabetes, and you can prevent this chemical that diabetics produce from insidiously working on your nerves, right? So whether it's your eyes or it's your legs or your hands, right? It is this chemical that does the damage, and then it causes the swelling, the inflammation, and then the inflammation cuts off your circulation.
Do you know the name of the chemical?
I don't know the name offhand, but it's something that uh, is my understanding, from doctors, my eye doctor explaining it to me, right? And I never went beyond his explanation. But as he explained this new medication,
Right.
but I have neuropathy, right? And as you know, uh, I got an infection that caused me to lose my toe. And if I'd had the vascular doctor, like I visited my vascular doctor uh, Friday, and that was I go every 6 months now. But you can, if you can go more often. But I had I got this infection in my foot, and my foot doctor saw this infection. And then in the past, and this is what I talk about, a moving target, right? In the past, I had plenty of infections in one time I stepped on a nail, went through my boot, through my foot, broke a chip off my big toe, and delivered this bacteria that no one could identify. Right? They couldn't identify. So they took biopsies. I ended up taking Cipro. And Cipro, you know Cipro?
Yeah. Yep.
That's what they give you for like chemical warfare.
Yeah. Ebola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the answer. It worked, right? It worked. And by the time it got to that point, the top of my foot was black and the bottom of it was yellow, and it was like this. It was
I bet
like
that hurt.
It, my foot was numb. So it just looked like it hurt, but it didn't. Didn't hurt. So, but anyway, it healed up. All right. So all of these things were happening. So anyway, I get to this infected toe, and I take the medication. Doesn't work. Right. Gangrene sets in. And so I'm seeing my foot doctor like every week now. Right. He says, I'm going to give you a chance. And, because I'm telling you, I have frostbite. Right. And this is when I was building this house. I had frostbite, and I didn't stop working. And I went to him every week, and he measured I had a hole in my foot like this, about this wide, right on the side, like right here, right? And I would go in, and he would measure. And he said, if it's not getting smaller, I'm going to put you in the hospital, but you're going to have to stop working. And but as long as it's healing, you do you. So It took 6 months for that to close up and callus over. So I went to him for 6 months every week. And it was, of course, we got to be pretty close friends. but we're now with this toe, it didn't heal. And he said, look, what we're going to have to do, the problem is there's no blood coming to your extremities. So I'm going to send you to this crazy Swiss guy. And he's going to, figure out what's going on. And he's going to get some blood down there before I cut your toe off. But it's got to go. And so I go see this guy named Spirig. And he is like a crazy Swiss guy. And, he takes a look at it, sniffs it, shakes his head. He says, before I can do the angioplasty, and, they've got the posters on the walls, and it says, if you've got this, then this is the action that. So I'm reading the posters on the walls, and, the angioplasty is invasive surgery. And the poster says, you don't want to get that. You want to do whatever you can do to avoid getting where I am right now. And I'm thinking, why didn't I know this? And why didn't I have this? But I didn't. So in order to get the angioplasty, I had to get the heart guy. Right. So I get the heart guy, they give me the stress test. He signs off. I get the angioplasty. The angioplasty, you never want to get one of those, ever. Because
better or worse than the shot in the eye?
Oh, it's 5 times worse.
Yeah, I don't want an
the
angioplasty.
Shot in the eye is like, you get your mind right, you relax, right? Everything's numb, but you feel it. I mean, it's not like you don't feel it, but it's over. You see the swirl, the guy said, can you see these fingers? And you can see the fingers, boom, out you go. But the angioplasty is, well, first of all, there's a lot of people, because it's invasive surgery. There's a lot of people around. And the doctor is like the quarterback, but it's almost like a football team in this operating room, right? And so there's a backup guy, and there's a couple nurses, and there's the anesthesiologist, and there's just one person that picks up all the shit. And so they're all there, they wheel you in, but you're numb, but you're awake, because you have to move to kind of accommodate the probe. So I might have to.
They do like they do a nerve block.
I guess so. I guess so. But it's not like I'm even twilight. It's like I'm as awake as I am then as I am now. But you can't. They like kind of block it off, so you can't really see what's going on. But and it takes a couple hours, right? So here's what they did, right? And then for some reason, the bloody cotton that from cleaning this probe, taking it in and out, is piled up next to the doctor. And I don't know, but after a while, from where I am kind of laid out, and I can see this pile of bloody cotton kind of growing next to him. And meanwhile, everybody else is partying, music is going, and he's sitting on a chair, kind of like a stool, those one of those doctor's offices chairs. And he's like working, and then they've got a camera and they've got screens so they can see the veins and the arteries and everything. And he puts in a stent where the artery is closed, and he puts in the balloons where they need to be stretched open. So it takes a while, right? First is the inspection part, and then they fix everything. And it was so everything that I do now, I do to try to avoid getting that done to my left leg. I just want to avoid that. I don't want to get blind again either.
Yeah, it sounds like pain is a wonderful teacher.
Yeah. So the key thing for everything is controlling the diabetes. So now, what I did was I started to do some reading, and a friend of mine, Sharp, got a sensor. And he said, this really works. It cuts out the like most people have seen the finger stick that diabetes, and you have the little case with the meter and the snapper finger stick. And I mean, if you want to see it, I'll get one. But it is the sensor is something. I don't know if I can. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the sensor.
Okay.
Right? And to get a reading, so I'm going to get into these screens, more, but I don't know if you can see this.
No.
But I'm going to take a reading. So at the bottom of this screen, it says scan. You hit that, and then you just take a swipe, and I think you can read that.
Yeah, it says 141.
Yeah. So, and it's green, right? So those are the two things. The 141, like I just had dinner at 6:00. Right. And so now the fact that it's in the green is the key. So by the numbers, you want to keep your blood sugar in the green, and you want to the green runs from 70 to 180. So if you can keep your blood sugar between 70 and 180, what's happening is you are reducing the amount of chemical, diabetes chemical, that's going into your bloodstream, almost eliminating it. So now you eliminate the impact of the disease. You manage the impact of the disease when you keep your blood sugar between 70 and 180. So what the sensor does is it gives you a tool that you didn't have before. Because before you would have to take, like I take my blood sugar about 8 to 10 times a day. But
Would you would not take your blood sugar that regularly if you were doing it using the somewhat more difficult method of a finger prick, correct?
well, it's not only is it takes time to do the fingerprint. And you can see in 1 second, I did a swipe, right? With a tool, with the phone, which I have with me all the time,
Sure.
right? The sensor lasts for 2 weeks. And I get it through Good RX, which is a nationwide program. And it costs about $60 a month. Now, if you are on insulin, you may be able to get that paid for by your insurance, but it's just not available if you're not on insulin. And it depends on what kind of insurance you have. But the before I got with the Good RX, I was paying about $70. I was paying about $140 a month. And so the Good RX made it much more affordable. But at $70, I still would get it, because the way I use it is if I want to take my blood sugar 50 times in a day, I can. And so the first thing that I figured out with it was how to use it as a biofeedback machine. And so now I have these tools, right? I have medication, I have exercise, I have the diet, and then now I've got some new tools, and that the primary new tool is timing, right? So I can figure out with this biofeedback, by using this as a biofeedback machine, I'm able to figure out what is the best time to do any of those things. So now with those 4 areas, what I've done is, when you think about our diets, right? Our diets, we eat the same stuff all the time. We might not eat it in sequence, but there's only a certain number of foods that we eat. And so what I'm able to do is say in the summertime, cherries, right? I don't have to worry about cherries because I'm not eating cherries right now. But through the summer, they're available, right? So I can take this machine and figure out that one cherry raises my blood sugar 2 points, right? So now I can so I have this understanding. And then my blood sugar you just saw right now is 140, 141. So now I've got 40 points, well, 39 points worth of to stay within my 180 range.
Yeah, you got 18 cherries.
Yeah, yeah. Now in the past, it was nothing for me to eat a bag of cherries. You know, it was nothing for me to eat 2 pounds of cherries.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It was
I love
nothing. It
them.
was nothing. You know,
Or a
I didn't
bag
give
of
it a second
or
thought.
a bag of grapes,
Yeah. No,
half a
great.
watermelon. Like,
Those big,
yeah,
those big green grapes.
yes. For
They raised my
one,
blood sugar 5 points. Yeah, for one grape.
oh, that might be
Now you
worth.
see, it won't do the same thing for you, but and in the past, it didn't raise my blood sugar that much. But that's what it does right now. And that's what I'm mostly interested in. Because the past, it doesn't make any difference,
Sure.
right? I need to know right now. So now I can check my blood sugar. I could take this thing of grapes, piece of pumpkin pie, and I've got timing, right? So I could say uh, what I could do, like I didn't take any medication, right? So I could take a glipizide. Now, a glipizide lowers my blood sugar 20 to 30 points
What's the
in
catch?
in a really short period of time. And what glipizide does, I started talking about before about the three medications, right? So insulin is one, and then you have a medication that makes your pancreas produce more insulin, and glipizide does that. And then you have a medication that makes your body use the insulin that's there better.
And what
And
is
like
that?
a metformin does that.
Okay.
And then you can get a medication that has both of those things in it. So it'll tweak your pancreas and make your body use the insulin that better. So you have all of these medications, and your doctor from your blood test, kind of prescribes what he think is going to work the best, but it's like a trial and error type of thing,
Well,
right? And
moving target.
yeah, and the sensor gives you uh makes that process a lot quicker. So 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 what I get from the biofeedback is I know in real time what each one of these foods, because I can test them all very, very easily. And now I know that if, let's just say I'm going to a birthday party, right? Or a holiday. And I could take a glipizide, right? And it's going to lower my blood sugar down into the 70s. Go to this party, take another one, enjoy myself, right? If I want to eat the red velvet cake, I can't eat a big slice like I used to, but I can have a taste, I can have a taste of pie and still keep my blood sugar within the range. And that's really the challenge of living with diabetes. And so why don't we put up a screen? So what we're looking at here is the screen that I showed you on right on my phone was my blood sugar right now. And this screen is you can see at the top is from February 21st to the 27th this year. And it is all of the readings put on this bar graph. So that if you look at the first one, the let's see, the move it up a little bit so I could see the bottom. Yeah, right there. That's good. So you could see that 12 o'clock, 12 a.m., right? It's 121 is the average for the week. So the meter is when you take your blood sugar enough with this sensor, right? You can get your blood sugar all day long. So and that's about eight times a day. So what you see is my blood sugar is 121. That's the average for the 7 days. And then you can see it going down to 102, going down to 100. Now it's 9 o'clock, right? And I have a cup of coffee, right? So now you see that one cup of coffee raises my blood sugar 40 points.
How do you take your coffee?
Just coffee with cream. So now if I wanted to mess with this, I could take a glipizide if I wanted to change this. But my weekly average of 132 is good, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to take glipizide at all.
What are the side effects of that?
Well, it affects your liver, it affects your kidneys, and the blood tests that you're supposed to get at least twice a year is testing all of those functions, specifically looking for the side effects of all the medications you have to take. So it's not something that it's like if I didn't take the medications I take, I would have high blood pressure. I would have, diabetes out of control. I'd have, all of these different things that I take the medication for. But with this one, if I took the medication at the wrong time, my blood sugar would go too low, and then I would become hypoglycemic.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that is something that it takes me a while to recover from. So I never want to have that happen because I get the shakes, I get dizzy, I get nauseous. If my blood sugar goes to 50, it's something that, it takes me a number of days to recover from. My blood sugar can go to 300 and I don't feel it. And, that's basically the problem for me. So I have coffee, I have lunch, and but now I'm working, and my blood sugar drops back down to 140, drops down now to 130 at dinner time, and then I eat a lighter dinner, which brings me up to 150, and by midnight. And I want to be, to go through the night, I want to be in that range. Now, what happens is I exercise 3 or 4 nights a week. And that exercise, what I found was exercising after dinner, you get the best impact or the best benefit, the most benefit from exercising. Because now, after I eat dinner, I have my highest blood sugar for the day. And on any given day when I don't exercise, my blood sugar is higher than 150. But what this is looking at is the average. So so my average is right where I want it to be to go into the night. So my blood sugar doesn't go below 100, and I don't want it to go below 100.
Or above 170, right?
180.
180.
So as long as everything is in the green, and my average now, which you see is at 132, my from getting so many A1C tests, I know that first of all, the A1C test is a 90-day. So let's go to the next slide. This graph is the 90-day average. So you can see from this one, it's 74 out of 90 days, which is good enough. And
so is that just days that you missed or didn't record, or I'm just curious?
yeah,
Like the
yeah,
74 out of 90.
yeah. So there was some time that I just wasn't religious about it. All right, so I just didn't take a test. I didn't use the sensor, but it wasn't whole days. But sometimes I go through periods where I'll only use the sensor 2 or 3 times in a day.
Okay.
And that's what throws that particular
Does
thing.
that have a little bit to do with winter and being dressed?
No, it goes right through all the different layers.
Okay.
So sometimes I wear 5 layers, and it's no problem. It has more to do with the fact that my phone freezes. So and then to keep it from freezing, I have to put it all the way inside the 5 layers. So to get it out and fool around with it, is is a chore.
Sure.
So that's definitely a factor in it. But the key thing is the quality of the data. So what you see is my average here is 148. And that is a 90-day average. So my weekly average is reducing it reduces it pretty quickly, my 90-day average. So my weekly average of 132 is lowering my 90-day average. Now,
Sure.
from experience, I know that that at one at 150, my A1C is below 7. So
Okay.
it'll be about 6.6. But my goal is to get my A1C below 6.
Okay.
Right. And if I can get my A1C below 6, I believe that it would be a real positive step into going to 6-month shots. So that's my goal for right now. And so I am really trying to reach that goal. So my average for today is 124. My average for the week is 137. And my average for 90 days is 145. Now at 145, my A1C is going to be 6.3. And 6.3 is right where it has been. So I haven't lost any ground. And I
But
made
not
up some
not
ground since February.
not not quite where you want it though.
Well, I want to I need to get my 90 days down into the 120s.
Okay.
And I think if I can get it down, because I think I did the math, each tenth of a point, no, each point is 23 degrees. So if I lowered this to 122, my next test is in 2 weeks. So I would really have to I couldn't do it. No,
No.
because what it is right now is 140, it's 145. If everything stays the same, I'm going to maybe get a tenth of a point better, but I won't lose any ground. And I just have to keep trying. Let me show another screen. So when you look at this screen from February 21st to the 22nd to the 27th, what you see is that for 87% of the time, I was within the green. I was in the green. But for 11% of the time, I went above the green. And so I went to the 180 to 240 range. And then for about 1% of the time, I went above the 240. Now, what that means is that 11% of the time, I have been doing damage to my body. And then
Well,
at
13% of the time, because
yeah,
being below,
13%.
yeah.
Yep. And then you see the less than 70, I have gotten down there one time, right? 1%. So that brought me into the danger zone for the shakes. So this is a key graph to understand. And when you couple this with the bar graph, you can see where your problem is. You could pinpoint it, right? So that's the real value of these graphs. Now, graph number 4. So this graph, like when you have the graph that shows that you're out of range some portion of the time, which that other graph shows you. This graph shows you the time of the time of day that happens. So you can see that it's at lunchtime.
Or just after, right?
Well, yeah, yeah. So what happens is when you eat, right? And there's that expression, um, eat breakfast like a prince, lunch like a king, and dinner like a pauper. You ever hear that expression?
No.
Well, that's like what the diabetic does. So that's what I try to do, right? So when you look at this graph, you can see that it's the space between the shaded areas, and those are all my tests, right? Is very small at going into breakfast time.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes though, it it goes down into the danger zone at breakfast time. And then it's really tight going up to lunch. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's very little fluctuation there. And then at lunch, it it has the biggest range of all. So so that's where if I had to focus in, and what I do now with this information is I eat my lunch at at I eat some of my lunch at 12 o'clock, and I eat more again at 3 o'clock, and then I have dinner at 6 o'clock. So that's what I've done to try to address the percentage of time that I am above the 180, because I want to, that is a really critical thing. It's the most critical thing because that's where the damage is being done. And then you see at dinner time, you also get a big fluctuation. My my but my spike hardly ever goes above the 180. So that's where eating dinner like a pauper comes in. Lunch like a king, which obviously I have been doing that. Uh, I've split that, and breakfast I left the same, dinner I left the same. The monitoring is a critical thing about controlling. And for the average person, an A1C, the low sixes is what their goals are. You only have to have your A1C below 7 to stay within the range, and for a diabetic. So having it below, in the low sixes is my doctors are impressed by that when I tell them that, or when they read that. And then if I can get it down into the fives, I think that's what's going to take me and keep it there, right? And with this technology, I'm able to keep it there. And that is what's going to take me to the promised land.
No more shots in the eyes. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
But I
No,
don't want to
but
be blind either. I don't want that.
yeah. No, I thought you had one more chart.
So what that does is it just shows you how much for that time period I use it 7 times a day. At 7 times a day, I get 85% of the data. That means that that continuous line is made up from your individual sensor reading. And that line is 85% accurate, which is good, but it's not 100%. And it's good enough. So when you look at the bar graph, that bar graph is made up from 85% of the data that's available. Now, this
Sure.
sensor that I use is one of the first ones to come out. And the newer ones give you just a continuous reading. Doesn't matter how many times you take a reading.
So it's not even like scanning it, right? It's just the Bluetooth is interactive the
Yeah,
whole time. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So but the but you know that's how this one works. And so when you couple that with your biofeedback, gives you a new tool that I didn't have before. And then you couple that with timing. So I know the best time to take medication. I know the best time to exercise, right? And then I know how much the exercise is going to lower my blood sugar.
So I did have a question. How long after eating, I guess for lack of a better term, does it take to hit you? So how long
Well,
after
it
eating?
really depends. It depends on what you eat. So
Yes,
so
sir.
with my diet, uh, like like tonight, eating dinner with the vegetables and what I had for dinner, the soup and everything else, uh, it only raised my blood sugar 40 points, total. So tonight, I did my exercises last night. So tonight I'm not going to exercise, right? So now I'm in good shape to go through the night. And then I can have, if I want to eat, say, before I go to bed, so my blood sugar doesn't go low over the night,
Hmm.
right? I could eat some leftovers. And I know it's only going to raise my blood sugar 15, 20 points. But the nice thing about that food is that it'll raise my blood sugar up to 140, and then it'll stay between 140 and 120 all night because that food takes a long time to digest, and it is, that is like utilizing diet to its best. And my diet got that way from trying to control these numbers with this sensor. Because I used to start my day with oatmeal, every day. And it was like a religion. And oatmeal is thought of as a diabetic food. But I can't eat more than 2 tablespoons of oatmeal at one time.
No kidding.
And then it drives my blood sugar up. So I would have to take, if I was taking insulin, I could eat oatmeal. If I was taking insulin, I'd have to eat oatmeal. Right. So it's a it's that awareness that gives you more and more control. So I know that this cup of coffee is going to raise my blood sugar 25 points. And when I get up in the morning, my blood sugar is at 100. I know, and you can see by those graphs, right? It's going to go to 125. And that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then what I shouldn't do is have another cup, right? That would put me where I want to be at lunchtime
Mm,
if I just cut out that second cup of coffee.
right.
Because I'm only going above, now, but now what I do is I have the second cup of coffee and then I split my lunch. So I eat some of it around 12 and I eat more of it around 3, and I get that long period of energy, really, while I'm working. And then drops right off for dinner to prepare me for dinner. So that routine allows me to minimize my glipizide. So I can go whole days without taking glipizide. But then if I get in and we're going to have pasta, right, then I pop one. And I enjoy myself.
Hard to blame you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe that very few people, I'm the only one that I know who utilizes this information the way I just described to you. And when I talk to my doctors, they don't know.
They don't what?
They don't know. So they don't know. They have patients with sensors, but now that they've invested in this technology, what is the best way to use it?
Mm-hmm.
So if you can use it so that you have a biofeedback, so you know that this grape is going to raise my blood sugar X number of points. And when my blood sugar is 110, I can eat X number of these grapes. And I know that, because like going back to the question that you asked before, grapes, because there's so much sugar, they give you a spike, right? So it doesn't hold your blood sugar up high. It goes up really fast, though. It goes up almost like on a straight line, where if I eat, like I had tomato soup, broccoli, and cauliflower, right? That goes up on a line like that. And then it levels off and it stays, say, at 140. Now, because when I showed you that 140 at the beginning of this, I had dinner an hour before. So it went slowly up. You could tell by the elevation of the graph. And then it just stays at that level. Right. So if I took it now it's almost 9 o'clock. See, it's 1:36. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. You see this, right? And that it's just going to stay like that for hours at that same 136, 135, because those particular foods just take a long time for me to digest those foods. And so they release the carbohydrates very slowly.
Yeah, a more complex sugar as opposed to grapes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What else you got?
Well, that's it for now.
Okay. Cool. Cool, cool. Yeah, that was informative as hell,
I
for
enjoyed it.
sure. Yeah, yeah. I'll get it. I mean, not much editing to do, to be perfectly honest. That's going to be pretty simple. Um, gonna cut out some of the fumbling around with the graph, but other than that, yeah, I'll give you a holler in a couple days,
Okay.
and then um if you want, I can send it to you before I release it. If you want to look through it first, I don't have a problem with that. I usually do that with people. Um, I don't think we talked about anything very controversial, so yeah, I might have made a joke about my mom. I'll cut that out, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but she's not listening.
okay, good. But yeah, cool. I appreciate your time.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah,
If I could
and
help one person, I'd be satisfied. If I can turn
I
one person on.
I feel that. I thought it was interesting talking about how to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know, most athletes I know, uh, unless they're trying to really gain weight, in which case they'll eat kind of heavy towards the end of the night. But you know, that's what I do. I have two eggs and toast. For breakfast, and then for lunch, I kind of hit it hard. And then for dinner, something a little bit lighter, because who wants to, put all that, have your body do all that work while you're sleeping. So it seems like, diabetic or not, it's a pretty reasonable, uh, way to eat.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, it is. It is. But the key thing for us is the numbers. And it was designed that way to make it understandable,
sure,
and then everything that you get, well, everything now is health-wise is numbers,
sure.
every single aspect of it. But it's I don't know, we need a cure. That's what we need.
Yeah,
I need
I
to be able
mean,
to take a shot, right?
and
And get some
and
stem cells and fix my
like
pancreas.
like so many things in the medical industry, in the pharmaceutical industry, there's really not any money in a cure. So,
That's not
you
true.
know, no, it is true. Like, you know, as long as people continue to be sick, they will need to be given medication to make
It's
them so
not
they're
true with
not as
diabetes.
sick. It's what?
So it's not true with diabetes because so many people have it. And it's hereditary. So even if I got a shot and I I was cured, I passed it down to my children. So the only thing they can do now, I've talked to them about it, and they talk to me about it, but I never even heard of an A1C till I was 50 years old.
Hmm.
And they've been getting A1Cs, since they were turned 30,
Sure.
25,
Yep. Same.
right? So it's that awareness that gives you the opportunity for prevention. And think about uh, the investment that the industry has made in prevention. I mean, that's better than the cure, but so many people have diabetes that if you know uh, any of them came up with a cure, That would punch their ticket. If they could beat the competition to Pfizer could beat to the cure and start curing people and charge them $17,000 or $28,000 or whatever they can get, wherever the traffic will bear
Mm-hmm.
to cure your diabetes. You think they wouldn't take that money?
Sure.
You know they would.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I don't even see any real push for prevention.
No, there
You
isn't.
know,
There is a
and
push.
I mean, there's a push as far as informing people of what they need to do or letting them know that perhaps their numbers are too high. But if you walk around a grocery store, it's 98% processed garbage. And a lot of that is, in the form of carbohydrates, simple or complex. And that's basically sugar. And that, also contributes to the increase in people with diabetes is terrible diet. And, and then there's the other discussion about lack of exercise. Lifestyle is a huge part of just health in general. However, all facets and aspects of it. And, in certain areas, I see it getting better from like a social perspective, but certainly not as much as I would like to see it. Yeah.
No, you can't argue that. You can't argue that. But I think that in terms of, I mean, I just had two friends deal with prostate cancer,
Mm,
and they went through the treatment. They said, I don't have it anymore.
that's awesome.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I
They
wonder
said,
where
oh, yeah, I'm
I
cured.
wonder where prostate cancer lies on the, because I know some cancers are, have higher rates of not necessarily being cured, but higher rates of remission, are easier to treat. I know for a fact that pancreatic cancer is not good. Yeah, one of the more difficult, one of the ones with a pretty high mortality rate. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it is. That's what Jody died from. It was a horrible death. It was horrible. I wanted to put her out of her misery, but I didn't do it.
Funny, we if your dog gets sick, we you can take your dog to the vet and have them put out of their misery, and everybody's fine with that, and that's considered humane and a good thing to do. And they force us to limp people along years past their quality of life being worth it. Even from their perspective, oftentimes being worth it, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, Canada's got the right idea. And listen, I don't think that, like, if you get a bad cold and you've had a shit week at work, you should be able to just, hey, somebody give me the pillow. But I do think, if you go through take certain steps as it relates to counseling, and obviously you would have a medical team, and reach the adult decision that, hey, it's just ain't worth it. You know. Um, Yeah, I'm a big proponent of people being able to make that decision, or in the absence of them being able to make that decision, in trusting somebody else to somebody else to do it. Well, on that happy note, uh, it was good talking to you. We'll get this episode out. All right, well, I'm gonna let you go. We got 3
Okay.
minutes till we're cut off. Great talk. Thank you very much.